It's the second week of November, and it's time for another Royal Recap. This week, I've got field goals, hockey goals, and a guy named Joel, all coming up in the next few minutes. Thanks for joining me. I'm Sports Information Director Dale Eng, bringing you highlights from the last week of Bethel University athletics. Even though the calendar says November, the temperature has felt more like September. But this last week was definitely not one to remember. Last Saturday, Bethel's football team hosted the number 10 St. Thomas Tommies in a game that had NCAA playoff implications. St. Thomas struck first with a touchdown early in the first quarter, but Nate Veroniak blocked the extra point attempt, giving him 3 blocked kicks this season. Early in the second quarter, Matt Weatherall got Bethel on the scoreboard with a 37-yard field goal, making the score 6-3. But the Tommies came right back and scored another touchdown to take a 13-3 lead. Just before the end of the first half, Bethel capped off a 7-play drive with a 24-yard touchdown pass to last week's MIAC Offensive Player of the Week, Joel Quick. That brought the score to within 3 again. Unfortunately, that's as close as Bethel would get, as St. Thomas scored another touchdown late in the third quarter to take a 19-10 lead. Bethel got in great field position in the fourth quarter after Kevin Ness boomed a 69-yard punt up into the jet stream, allowing the Royals to down the ball on the Tommy 10-yard line. After a 3-and-out series, the Royals forced the Tommies to punt into the wind, giving Bethel the ball back at the St. Thomas 36-yard line. However, a field goal later in the drive was thwarted, thus ending a chance for the Royals to put more points on the scoreboard. Ross Pedersen led the Bethel defense with an interception and 14 tackles against his former team. The ex-Tommy leads Bethel with 68 tackles so far this season. Bethel is now 6-3 overall and 5-2 in the conference going into Saturday's home finale with Augsburg. Shifting gears to women's hockey, the Royals opened their season with a pair of home games. On Friday night, Bethel faced UW Eau Claire but was held scoreless in a 2-0 loss. The following afternoon, Bethel took on the UW Stevens Point Pointers. After falling behind 1-0 halfway through the first period, Hillary Hartwig tied the game for Bethel less than 4 minutes later on a power play with her first collegiate goal. Then in the second period, Stephanie Van Gilder gave Bethel its only lead of the game by scoring her first goal of the season and of her career with the help of Rachel Gang and Callie Miller. But then the Pointers came back with 3 unanswered goals, 1 in the second period and 2 in the third, to hand Bethel a 4-2 loss. The Royals are scheduled to take on Lindenwood University and UW River Falls this weekend. On the men's side, Bethel traveled into Wisconsin to take on nationally ranked St. Norbert's as well as UW Stevens Point. On Friday night, Christian Fogarty put Bethel up 1-0 against the Green Knights, but St. Norbert's responded with 8 goals before John Kraus scored his first collegiate goal in the third period. The next night, the Royals faced off against UW Stevens Point, still looking for their first win. The Pointers took a 2-0 lead in the first period before Jake Kaleja scored a power play goal to cut the Stevens Point lead in half. Just over a minute into the second period, Christian Osegard tied the game with a shorthanded goal. Then later in the period, Tom Minazzi scored to give Bethel a 3-2 lead, but the Pointers rallied to score 3 goals before Chris Fiala answered with his third goal of the season late in the third period, and the game ended with the Royals on the short end of a 5-4 decision. Bethel begins conference play this weekend with a pair of games against St. John's. Also coming up this weekend will be the NCAA Regional Cross Country Meet, where both men's and women's teams hope to run well enough to earn a trip to the national meet. Last year, Marie Borner won the individual race, and the women ran well enough to get an at-large bid into the national meet, while Dan Greeno came in second place individually on the men's side. That's it for this week's Royal Recap. Next week, be sure to join me as I'll have more football, hockey, and cross-country highlights. And as always, for more stats, stories, and schedules, be sure to visit athletics.bethel.edu. Thanks for watching. I'm Sports Information Director Dale Eng.